It's Friday. It's February 3rd, 2023. I'm watching and listening to the morning news, the CBS this morning. Um, they go from this cold weather emergency into something about a 5-letter word pattern that has alien origins. And something called a spy balloon over Montana, which I think is odd. But then I'm taking the word weather, being that I wrote a chart on it. I put it on my Facebook. I mean, now it's inverted because I have this on mirror image, so it's the complete whatever. But when I take the word weather, and I separate the W and the E from the Ather. When I look at the visualization of the low liar or the low life on ground, looking up at the weather balloon, the camera that the low liar is holding looks like it's shaking. So, like, I don't know, is that like supposed to be representate? Like, again, I don't think that the person taking the photo actually has a physical condition called Parkinson's, which makes them shake. However, there are seismic vibrations I've been picking up on anatomically, that sometimes causes the hand to shake a little bit, especially if with the body mechanics in some altered state. But there's now this spy balloon, or what they're calling that. I mean, is that something that measures the stability or the integrity of the radio signals in a vertical space of Ather? I mean, I'm just curious. There's no chain of command. There's no intelligent men in the field to ask. I mean, I have a father, but again, he was naturalized here, but he's of alien origin. And I really have no other family than he that I have access to. I just have I have an American born Tiafrio 1975, but he's just an insult to my intelligence, um, on so many disgusting, disingenuous levels. Part of a much larger problem that would really upset the American dads at nuclear family. But here we are. Especially considering I was born with scepter and orb and noble blood. I am not clear, or not, it's unbeknownst to me why my life's journey has ended in this disgusting shambles. So anyhow, so I'm watching as this low liar is looking up at this, trying to videotape this balloon, and the visual image is a little destabilized, and I'm wondering if that's what the balloon is meant to represent in checking in the Aether space in between the different levels of atmosphere. I mean, again, there's no real teachings on this. There's a lot of conjecture. Then I was looking in the local area. I was noticing that the theorems and the theology of mathematics were awarded to European American males. In my life frame, that's been the historical low liar conjecture, for a one unified, how to protect the mathematica and the scientific principles. And then they have different sects SECHTS under this theological protection with this word church. Um, I'm noticing, though, in the local state, even though church and state are separate, I'm noticing in the state that my feet are standing on, there seems to be a vagrancy issue with migrancy mention. I mean, the news only mentions it as migrant, almost to like paint it with some brush of illegitimacy and negate the seriousness of the vagrancy that's going on at the moment. Um, Again, I don't know where truancy is at custodial issues. Um, I wouldn't know how to find them. I don't know. There's been no integration into how to protect the noble of blood children and when is their voice most needed and to whom to address respectfully. There's been none of that. So, therefore, it makes reporting on very serious matters very difficult. And so here we are. So this is what the news is mentioning about this spy balloon. I don't really know what that means. They've made some action movie section of motion pictures, but it again is really hard to follow and like translate it to modern day, especially with the construct of how the different levels of humanity are built and where I've been almost locked. It feels like I've almost been locked in some kind of a bird cage. It's and I don't know how to get out. I mean, I need superfood. I need spiritual food and there's nothing here.
Turning now to whatever is going on in the skies over of Montana. I'm talking about the discovery of a giant balloon visible from the ground that has quickly turned into a national security concern tied to China. That's because Pentagon officials say they are convinced that this thing on your screen is part of a Chinese spy operation. China, for its part, neither confirming or denying, saying they're going to look into it. This is happening, by the way, the timing is interesting, just before Secretary of State Antony Blinken plans to visit Beijing. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge is in Washington for us. Catherine, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. This balloon was spotted over Montana this week, and the Pentagon has been tracking it floating at 66,000 feet above the U.S. and Canada for a couple of days now. There are nuclear missile silos in Montana, and while there's been a bipartisan outcry to counter any threat from this balloon, officials say for now they plan to let it be.
Well, what the heck is that?
As the silvery orb hovered over Montana, air traffic temporarily shut down and fighter jets scrambled.
Some special air mission, that's really all we know.
According to a senior defense official, the suspected Chinese spy balloon was spotted over Billings, Montana on Wednesday. It flew from Alaska's Aleutian Islands through Canada and into Montana. Defense Secretary Austin, traveling in the Philippines Wednesday, convened senior defense leadership.
Secretary Galvez, thanks for a very productive meeting.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs recommended against military action, and the Pentagon decided against shooting down the balloon because of the danger posed by falling debris.
The balloon is currently traveling at an altitude well above commercial air traffic and does not present a military or physical threat.
If it were a threat, I have every confidence that we would have already dealt with it by now.
Former senior intelligence official Dale Meyerrose said the Chinese have launched similar operations before.
So was this an intelligence gathering operation?
It's more intelligence about how we think, how we react, rather than picking up locations or activity on the ground.
The spy balloon discovery comes just ahead of next week's meeting between U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and China's president.
I find the timing interesting. I can't help but think that this was a deliberate action on our part. And we believe that it provides us with some sort of talking point leverage or advantage, either in the ongoing talks or the ones that are upcoming.
Myros told us these things happen often, but they are rarely confirmed by the U.S. government. This morning, Chinese officials called the claims of a spy balloon hype until the facts are clear, Tony.
All right, so Catherine, they're not shooting it down as of yet. What might they do going forward?
Well, a short time ago, Tony, a U.S. official told CBS News that there are a number of options. They could try and jam the signals that it's sending back to the Chinese military and intelligence services, or they could take a wait and see when it gets to an area where it might be possible to shoot it down and then make a decision at that point.
All right, we'll keep following it, Catherine. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now to the latest in the murder trial of prominent South Carolina attorney Alex.
Now this is confusing for me. There's someone that I don't know, which is, I don't know a lot of people, but on the two-dimensional alert system, saying that there's this Republican called Omar, O-M-A-R. It's a woman. And she has a podium position inside of Washington, D.C., where I don't have access to the same level of voicing concerns. Somehow she's got some, you call it connections. I don't know if it's special interest groups. I don't know if it's the curious. I don't know if that's considered a spy podium. I mean, like, again, how does one know? Here's what I do know. She's of alien origin from Somalia, but yet she was brought here and is able to get to Washington, have a podium space, and have a voice. My father was brought from Italy here with Red Cross approval, no less. And my father doesn't even have the same level of American welcoming of his foreign person in order to protect me. Now, I am the firstborn American here in a blended house of my mother was all American. My father was brought here when he was 7 and integrated into the schools and grew up in private school with Red Cross approval, might I add, just so nobody gets stirred up or upset. And there's this real discrepancy in where doors have been locked, so I can't even get into certain office or into certain levels or chains of command in order to do things at an efficiency level that suits or makes others happy and what they've come to expect. There's a break in the chain of command. It's happening in New York over my father and my lifetime. I don't know why. But when I see something like this with this woman getting into this position, having some foreign nation like integration and support, being Somalia, and yet I'm of northern Italian descent along the lines of Austria, and my father and I have not been extended the same graciousness from where I was born. It totally confuses me how the humans are working their logic at explaining and getting away with certain events.
Parties, it was on full display yesterday as Republicans who control the House of Representatives voted to remove Democrat Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. GOP leaders accuse a Minnesota congresswoman of making...
There are more foreign alien-born scholars that know the inner workings of the U.S. government system than I have been. Not something I'm proud of, something I'm actually quite ashamed of, but it is a sign of a much bigger red flag bigger, like red flares, red flag, big problems going on at home when I'm the one who is built and born American made and doesn't even have the same avenue, road, or consciousness of how the US is working. And yet there are others that are foreign born, alien origin, who know more and make it their business to take seats where I haven't even been extended the offer or been able to even seek out the knowledge to know how to integrate myself properly to protect my future and my children.
Making anti-Semitic remarks about supporters of Israel. Now, Omar has apologized for what she said, but she accused Republicans of targeting her because she is Muslim and a former refugee from Somalia. Fellow Democrat Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez doubled down on that charge.
Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me because I didn't get a single apology. Time has expired. My life was threatened. Thank you.
She was referring to Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, along with GOP member Paul Kosar, was blocked from committee assignments when Democrats controlled the House 2 years ago.
All right, police in New Jersey say they...
Not proud of the fact that I'm confused when I hear that. I don't even know how to logically put it in a construct of consciousness in the series of rooms I've been exposed to in my own life frame. Now, what's interesting is they put on this NFL person, Nate, on the See the BS this morning, and they give him an award, and there's these two gentlemen with this like maroon-looking hat with a tassel on it. I thought I heard on some other program that was considered like a Mason Lodge. Here, they're referring to it as Shriner. Now, there was somebody who sought me out. I've had a lot of people seek me out, not that I know who they are. And they are some of the world's, I mean, like, it's to look at like the playbill of my life in this area of war theater and who has sought me out, knowing their importance, and then coming to see if I really like, what is it like to be this disassociated from their reality. No idea who they were. There was this one person who came to seek me out, and he's the one he got into the car, and there was a black truck. My local representative at that time was Jason Moss, Maass, I think, something like that. It was at the same house that he went to go see, and then this representative came to find me. He took the paper, I signed it. I guess that was like that we met, because that's the law at the LIBOR and the MLS in this area, was that if he met with an agent, I had to sign this paper that we met for his protection and mine, and then it went on file with the state. So there's that. And so there's a federal crossover with that. And so I met with this person, and he mentioned something about shrine. I had no idea what that meant. I just recently, because again, I don't really watch television. It is not my go-to. I like to speak to, or I used to like to speak to the humans to try to learn. But this, that's what the schools taught, is that there is this professional who's supposed to pass wisdom along, although it seems to have failed. And now it's in some self-service of some sort. I don't really know. And so, and again, that goes back to topology, Topology, which I put up the other day. There was a mathematician, his theorem is Presbyterian from 1888, and he's James Wendell Alexander II. And his studies took him to faraway places. My son is Alexander James, not James Alexander. I inverted it because, again, the T doesn't necessarily look like my cup of tea, but it doesn't look like it's that far off either. Anyhow, this person that came and mentioned this word shrine, I mean, very soft-spoken, did not come aggressively to meet with me, was actually very, I don't know if the word would be passive, but more soft-spoken, more spiritual food, I would think, in the sense of just trying to genuinely ascertain like level of stability in meeting with each other's kind of whatever. He said he was looking for a house. I assume that's what he was doing by calling me, but then he never called back and we never completed a transaction. Just because there are others that have come to visit, that I've completed transactions with, and somebody pulled an entire, or Jason had pulled and did an entire thorough investigation at some point. So it's on file with, I don't know, whoever the hell he reports to.
Baby Celine, I love that.
I do too.
Love that. All right, so this morning we're celebrating a career milestone for our man Nate Burleson, who was inducted into the East-West Shrine Bowl Hall of Fame.
Big deal.
Nate was honored on the field last night in Las Vegas during the annual event, the East-West Shrine Bowl.
Now, I've only just, they have this shrine with this level of hat. They have a commercial. They apparently do a lot of things with a children's hospital named after Shriner. It's the first time I had ever heard of it. It made a lasting impression. They ran the ad campaign throughout Christmas into the New Year. And it really was like highly impactful and left an impression.
Bowl is the longest running college football all-star game in the country. Before his 11-year NFL career, Nate was a star wide receiver at Nevada, where he still holds pass catching records. Wow. Here's what Nate had to say about this honor.
The touchdowns, tackles, the stats, the records, all that will fade at some point. Somebody else will come on and bring it. The money is good, you buy your lifestyle, but you can't leave with it. But what you can leave behind are footprints big enough for somebody else to walk, and that's what the Shrines have done. So thank you for that.
That man, that is a poignant speech right there. Congratulations, Nate.
And I think that's part of the problem, is that spiritual food never was harnessed correctly into my whatever, my daily life. I'm still superfood in the sense that I have this astrological, anatomical timing piece at high aerospace importance, at like Scepter and Orb knows what should know. I mean, they're more of like the theologians and principles of the science principle. They sent me a pilot once who was a science principle. Again, just like when Eric came, and I was speechless. I lacked words for what, and I'm like, nobody says that they're, like, I've never met anybody who says that they're into astrology and numerology. Like, that never happens in my, I was so totally in admiration, but it rendered me totally speechless because, I mean, I've been blessed that they've been silently in my physical, like, could have reached out and respectfully, but again, more visual, whatever. But it's been this, like, inconsistency. And in my home life, my personal life, and in lifestyle, there's been nothing that I could even reach to achieve because of the problem with the original Crazy Donkey and the way that this has been dragged so horribly off course. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.